Hello, and a warm welcome to our show, Love Athletics. In this program, we bring you the latest highlights from our sport with expert input from different continental areas. And we're delighted to have as our guest today, US journalist Weldon Johnson, co-founder of Let'sRun.com website. Hello, Weldon. Lovely to see you again, and a big thank you for joining us.
Great to see you as well. Glad to be here.
Thank you. So let's move straight to check what's been happening in our sport over the last fortnight, starting with the big one, the US Championships and Trials for the World Championships held in Eugene from 31st July to 3 August. Now, as usual, there's so much to discuss at US Championships that we're going to break it down into categories by event, starting with the sprints, which saw greatness and drama to spare. Let's focus first on the men's 100 meters and women's 200 and 100. Now, Weldon, I think the first takeaway is that US Championships confirmed two athletes who had dominated Grand Slam track in spring, Kenny Bednarek and especially Melissa Jefferson-Wooden.
Yeah, they've both been phenomenal all year. I think, well, Melissa's times you couldn't dispute before this, but with Kenny, you're sort of wondering, okay, some of the people, the top sprinters on the men's side weren't at Grand Slam. How will he stack up at the USA's? And he answered all the questions.
Yeah, no, exactly. It was, as you say, you could have thought, oh yeah, but not everybody was there. But at trials, they were all there. And Kenny in the 100 was absolutely great. Then, of course, we had Courtney Lindsay and new face, T. Mars McCallum. We'll talk maybe later about new faces on the US team. 200 we're going to talk about now. Melissa Jefferson-Wooden, she totally dominated the show in both the 100 and 200. It was really impressive. So let's get now to the men's 200. Noah Lyles shattered the world lead with 19.63, closely followed by Bednarek, 19.67, and double reigning sprints champion, turning down around at the finish line to stare down Bednarek.
Yeah, I thought this was crazy. I mean, this was bigger than the race. I feel like this is what got all the attention in the U.S. widespread media apart from track. And it sort of comes down to, like, is this unsportsmanlike? There's definitely a history between them, because Kenny essentially said, he's got my phone number. He can call me. He wanted to do that in the track instead. So this isn't just about this race. I mean, they obviously are rivals on the track. And while personally I loved it, I do find it unsportsmanlike. Like I don't know. You're not out to stand up your opponents. I'm all for celebrating, but sort of, I tell my 5-year-old, we don't taunt people. But they're supposed to race this weekend in Poland and Diamond League on Saturday. So this could be fabulous for drama and bringing attention to the sport the rest of the year.
Yeah, that's going to be exciting. I'll be there and I'll be looking forward to it. And it's funny because we had a similar conversation 2 years ago. It was Noah Lyles and wagging fingers at Kerry-On Knighton.
Yeah, that's true. I guess Noah has a history. I feel like Noah, he takes the 200 more personal than the 100. He views it as his event. And it sort of is interesting. I mean, pretty much the only 200s he's lost are the Olympic ones. So Kenny's beaten him in both the last two Olympics, which is crazy because Noah doesn't lose the 200. I mean, he saw that here. And he was pretty far down. I mean, it was crazy. And I think he said, I knew with 120 meters in, I was going to catch him. And sitting there in the stands, I didn't think that. But don't doubt Noah in the 200. But this will be so interesting the rest of the year.
Yeah. Mm-mm. So finally on the sprint section, the 400, Men's 400 was not the very best performance in Eugene, but I loved the fact that the winner, Jacori Patterson, is someone who, until his breakthrough at Grand Slam track in Miami in early May, was unsponsored and worked night shifts between 10 p.m. and 4:30 a.m., loading delivery trucks for UPS. So I've been thrilled of each and every one of his wins since then. Now, as for the women, Sydney McLaughlin, Levroni show. Now, Weldon, can you explain to me why Sydney is running the 400 flat?
I think she wants a challenge. Everyone's been speculating she would try to double at the Worlds at some point. And with the Olympics being here in LA, I think the sort of crowning moment of her career would be to try to pull off the Olympic double. You know, people are hoping, oh, maybe she would try to double at Worlds, but the schedule isn't perfectly lined up, I don't think. So I think it's probably easier to dip her foot into the 400 to see how she does just running the 400. And it gives her a new challenge, right? She's been so dominant in the 400 meter hurdles. I mean, like Femke Bulls run under 51 seconds, but she's still like a half a second behind Sydney's best. And they're not running, you know, I think Femke's run 51.9 or something this year. So it'll give her a challenge. I mean, right now, I think she's an underdog. She'll be an underdog at the World Championships, which is interesting. She's always risen to the occasion, but you know, the 400 clearly for her is a different event than the 400 meter hurdles. People thought her speed has to just carry over, and it doesn't. She's not as dominant in this event, and also obviously the 400 women are very good.
Yeah, definitely, because between Marilady Paulino and Salwa Nasser, they'll give her a tough time in Tokyo. So that'll be interesting. Now we move to the hurdles, which often get lumped with the sprints, but I believe they deserve a separate section. So starting with 110 hurdles, great depth in this event. And one of the new kids on the block start here, Jacoby Tharp, while Trey Cunningham, author of a brilliant outdoor season, was fourth and out. Now, Weldon, it looks to me like the top guns, all running in the central lanes, may have overlooked Tharp in lane one. What do you think?
I mean, I think it's possible, but I mean, it's so tight anyway. It was a surprise for him to win in lane one. I mean, he was phenomenal at the NCAA ranks, but no one, well, I guess you wouldn't rule it out, but for him to win was a surprise. But you don't want to be a US 110 meter hurdlers. The trials are so brutal. I mean, Trey Cunningham, you have to feel for him. And also, like, Grant Holloway didn't run the final. He already has a bye. So that's so hard. We have four guys at this level. So essentially Trey, I mean, he's not, but on paper now he's our fifth best hurdler, which was crazy because it was world number 2 coming in.
No, definitely. It was, it's, as you say, I wouldn't want to be a hurdler, a high hurdler at the US Championship. It really is one of the most competitive events ever. Mm-mm.
And new names keep kind of popping up. So, you know, it's it's not even just the same two guys every year.
The high hurdles, that was also one of the very best events. Great depth with Masai Russell doing super well, but also Grace Stark, Alicia Johnson. Now, Kendra, maybe you would kind of expect not to be on the team now, but still, it was a really, really great competition. And moving to the 400 hurdles, sprints always get a lot of attention, but the best in performance of the championships and the equal best of the fortnight came from Rai Benjamin in the 400 hurdles. So he had run 47.45 in the heats and 46.89 in the final. And that's worth 1,290 points. Brilliant. Now, Weldon, I really think something changed in Rai Benjamin last year, turning him from a very talented medalist to a winner. Do you agree?
Yeah, I think he became more consistent last year. I mean, his PB still goes back to the 2021 Olympics, which is crazy. And that race was so phenomenal. You know, I think, you know, Warholm would bring out the best in him, but Rye in 2023, I think, had an off race at Worlds, and starting last year, like every hurdle race was 46 seconds, I think. Same thing this year to start off. There's no hiccups. There's no learning curve. It seems like it's more consistent. And also he's racing more this year, which I think his racing schedule used to be so limited. It's good for the sport to see him out there. You know, him and Warholm raced in that 300 hurdle race and then the 400 hurdle race. It's good. And I think maybe being Olympic champion, he gets paid a little more, so he's a little more incentivized to race. I don't know. Whatever it is, it's a good thing because I think he's a great ambassador for the sport.
He says he doesn't like the long travel across the US and across the ocean. But every time he does cross the ocean, he makes sure it's for an excellent performance.
Yeah, he's been amazing this year.
Yeah. And among the women, I was just thrilled to see Dalila Mohammed producing yet another excellent time, 52.65 for a clear win over Anna Cockrell, 52.89. Now, Femke Bol looks unbeatable for Tokyo, but Mohammed is having a fantastic season, running her best times since Tokyo Olympics in 2021. Now, Weldon, are you as thrilled as I am by Mohammed's performances?
Yeah, it's great to see her back at this level. I didn't realize, like, just because Sydney had been so good and the level, she's still, in my mind, she was still there, but it had been a slip. She hadn't run, I think, 52 since the 2021 Olympics.
Yeah.
She was second there, third the next year. Didn't make the final in 2023. Didn't even make the Olympic team last year. So this really is a resurgence. Yeah. It's good to see. Especially when you're old like me. You want to see the people who've been around a while doing well. And Anna, you're giving the gold medal to Femke. Interesting.
Yeah, I think so. I love Dalila, but I think I'm giving the gold medal to Femke. You never know. Anything can happen, but I think that's the most likely outcome.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you on that, but she's only been under 52 once. She usually rises to the occasion, but last year she tried to stick with Sydney, which I think ended up being a mistake. But it's hopefully it's a close race because the hurdles races have had so much drama or world records essentially on the women's side.
Yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to it, even without Sydney. I think it'll be a good race. So now we go to middle and long distances. Let'sRun.com's favorite territory, where there were some great results and even greater stories. And the 800 was an amazing one. Victory for 2019 world champion Donovan Brazier, making his comeback after injury and 3 Achilles tendon surgeries, improving his 2019 PB, which had earned him the gold at the Worlds, to 142.16, and winning over arguably the sensation of the championship, 16-year-old Cooper Lutkenhaus, who signed a stunning 142.27 and displayed even more stunning racing maturity. And that, of course, was a world under 18 best for Lutkenhaus, knocking 1.10 seconds off the previous best by Ethiopia's Mohamed Aman. And that performance also moves him to number 2 in the under 20 all-time list. Plus, he is currently number 6 on the senior list this year, in an event which is among the most dynamic. So well done. The 800-meter final, of course, generated huge interest on Let'sRun.com between Brazier, Lutkenhaus, and the fact that world indoor champion Josh Hoey was only 4th and out of the Tokyo team.
Yeah, it was the race of the championships for the Let's Run crowd. I don't think I ever have known the time of what someone finished second place at the U.S. Championship ran. It's just embedded in my head, 142.27. It was beautiful. Like it restored. You want to believe in the impossible in the sport, and it restored it to me. Sometimes you see a performance, right, and you really question that, like, is this too good to be true? And sure, you still think of that, but like, we talked to Cooper on our podcast, we talked to his coach. He just seems like a Jim Ryan type phenom to me. It's great to see. And then also on top of it, Donovan Brazier with this comeback. As of June 1st, Donovan Brazier had run 0 races since 2020,
Yeah.
the Worlds in 2022. I mean, that is crazy. Like, people were speculating he might be retired. I thought, okay, well, maybe he can run a couple races this year or something to win the thing. That would have been probably the greatest race for me at the championships, but it got definitely put to second place. And you were telling me beforehand, Cooper is making news in Italy with the newspapers there.
Yeah, absolutely. He wasn't just the talk of the town in the US, but Italian sports daily, Gazzetta dello Sport, had a full page, and it's a broadsheet, not a tabloid format, on Cooper Lutkenhaus. And they just had a small section at the bottom with the results of all the other events from championships. So that was amazing. And the 16-year-old earned glowing praise, among others, from former teen wonder Jim Ryan, but also Russia's 2004 Olympic champion and multiple world medalist Yuri Borzhakovsky, who praised his maturity and declared that if he continues his progress, he could even break 140.
Sounds crazy, but the 100-second barrier, Marco Arup's coach, they call it Project 99. So I think Cooper is in that talk now. I still can't make sense of his time. It's so great.
Yeah. Mm-mm. Now, the 1500 were also exciting and unexpected. Jonah Koech first, Ethan Strand second, Cole Hawker third, and with another surprise, Yared Nuguse only fifth. So, Weldon, what did you think of the 1500?
Yeah, this was a big surprise. I mean, Jonah Koech is another sort of breakout star this year. He was like totally an afterthought in the United States until this year, more of an 800-meter runner. And then he got into the Rabat Diamond League race almost by accident. I think he wanted to run the 8, and they said, we have a spot for you, but it's got to be in the 1500. He wins that thing coming from way behind. And then he did well in an 800 in Europe, but then hadn't raced essentially since, I think, June. So I honestly wasn't expecting anything from him. And he showed this amazing kick at the end, beating Cole Hawker, who I'm still very confident. Cole is a big race performer. People in America already knew that. And so the Olympics, obviously winning was a surprise, but people are like, oh, he hasn't won this year. And I'm like, he's progressing great. I think he's my favorite for the Olympics. To see Jonah beat him was pretty shocking. And then, I mean, the drama at the trials is obviously some of the stars who miss out. Josh Hoey missed out in the 800. He was the world number 2. And then here, Yared Nuguse, it's tough. I mean, the U.S. middle distance and distance on the men's side is so deep right now. It's crazy. And then Hobbs Kessler, who was 5th at the Olympics, didn't make it either. So you're 3rd and 5th at the Olympics, and you're not going to go to the World Championships. And they ran very good. It's not like they ran poor races.
Yeah, exactly. So let's look at the 5 and 10,000, because 3 athletes there made the U.S. team in both events. I think one of the big winners is Cole Hawker, taking the win over 5,000 in addition to his 1,500-meter bronze. But Nico Young, first in the 10 and 3rd in the 5, and Grant Fisher with silvers in both, also won double selection. Now, what's your take on the long distance races?
I mean, Hawker winning was definitely a surprise, but if you designed a race for him to win, this would be it. They let it go really slow, and didn't. Usually Grant Fisher still will push from like 1,000 out. He was sort of boxed in. Like, they gave this one to Cole Hawker. I don't know how much it means for the Worlds, to be honest. I mean, Cole ran an amazing, I think 7:23, 3,000 indoors. His endurance is better, but I'm still not convinced that, he's going to be like Jakob Ingebrigtsen in the 5,000 yet. He raced in, I think, Stockholm in didn't do very well in the 5,000. So I still think there's question marks for Worlds, but the U.S. team is very good in all these distance events. Grant Fisher, 2 Olympic medals last year, and he didn't win either the 5,000 or the 10,000 at USA's this year. So I think Nico Young, the international audience is very familiar with Grant, but Nico Young is a name you need to know or watch. He did win the Oslo 5,000, so I guess people are aware of him. But I think in the 5,000 and the 10,000, both these guys could be factors. And I think honestly more in the 10,000, Anna. I think the 10,000 is going to be wide open because there is no Kiplimo. Yeah, you disagree, right? I can see some of your thoughts here, and I think you disagree with me.
Yeah, exactly. Because the fact that Kiplimo has decided to skip Worlds and focus on road leaves, an open space. Kenya has only one athlete qualified for Tokyo in the 5,000. Jakob still hasn't run an outdoor race. He keeps on postponing his debut. So we're left with strong Ethiopian athletes, with Sweden's Andreas Almgren, with Britain's George Mills. But they're not impossible to beat over the 5, so US could do very well. On the 10,000, I think it's probably a bit tougher because there's some really strong Ethiopians there, but we'll see. I think it's really wide open.
Yeah, I think that for the Nico and Grant, I think the 10,000's there for the taking. I guess if you won Diamond Leagues, you could win the 5,000 as well, but Kajelcha is so amazing, but I think he has 1 medal at a World Championships outdoors. He never puts it together, which is so crazy. And then Aragawe got second at the Olympics last year, but Barega got beat last year by the Grant Fisher at the Olympics. So I think some of these guys who run fast, even Almgren, I know some people kind of who work with him, they're optimistic about the 10, which is crazy, kind of as you say, but because Biniam Mahari, who won the Prefontaine meet, which was the Ethiopian trials, he's doing the 5,000 instead, which is sort of interesting. So
yeah,
I don't know. It's always the 10 is like you got to be in shape on the day, and they don't run very many of them, so it'll be interesting to see. And I still can't wrap my head around Americans being legitimate contenders in the 5,000, 10,000. It's changed because when I got involved in the sport, there was Bob Kennedy and that was it. And now it's very different.
Yeah, definitely. We were talking about it, during the indoor season. What a great series of performances, and they confirmed this year. So that's going to be really good. So let's move to field events. In the jumps, the only remarkable performance was Tara Davis Woodhull's 7 meters 12 world lead in the long jump. Now, throws, on the other hand, were excellent. Shot put among the men, a superb contest won by Josh Awotunde in 22:47. Medalists all within just 18 centimeters. 4 men threw over 22 meters, and the 4th, with 22:07, Joe Kovacs, will not travel to Tokyo. Among the women, Chase Jackson had a great performance, winning with 20 meters 84, and she's been dominant outdoors this year, though Netherlands' multiple global medalist Jessica Schilder, and especially Canada's double world indoor champion Sarah Mitten, can always bring a surprise in Tokyo. And Valerie Ullman in the discus, winner with her 3rd best ever throw, 71.45 centimeters, she's been a head and shoulder above the competition. She's the only athlete to throw 4 times over 70 meters and the only one capable of throwing more than 68 meters 50 outside Ramona. So she's been known to, I think it was Oregon Worlds, where she was the favorite and she didn't win. but she's become a lot more consistent. And now combined events, Anna Hall dominated the heptathlon in another great performance, 6,899 points, second only to her fabulous 7,032 total from Götzis. And among the men, Kylie Garland totaled an excellent 8,869 points, moving to number 10 on the all-time list. So he won by setting PBs in 4 events: 100 meters, shot put, discus, and javelin. Really impressive. So great performances by US combined eventers. Now, Weldon, it looks like Anna Hall has now fully overcome her injury issues from 2024.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, you don't want to be injured the Olympic year. It's sort of unfortunate, but she's so good. She did Grand Slam track and the 400 hurdles, 400 events. So she's good in some of the individual events, and she's really firing on all cylinders now with this year in the heptathlon, and clearly not injured. So it'd be interesting to see what she does at
Diamond
Worlds.
League meeting in Florence 2 years ago. She placed 3rd in the 400 hurdles, ahead of 4 specialists. She's amazing.
If she had to be a 400-meter hurdler, I think she could be. If they said, "Oh, we're canceling the heptathlon" or something, she'd be like, "Okay, I'm fine." Or maybe even the 800.
Yeah. Okay, so let's have a quick look at winners and losers from the trials. So winners, we spoke in depth about most events, but here I'd like to highlight those athletes which qualified for US Tokyo team in 2 events. So we have the sprinters, Melissa Jefferson-Wooden and Kenny Bednarek. And then, as we said, in the long distances, Cole Hawker, middle and long Cole Hawker, winner of the 5 and bronze, 3rd in the 1500. Nico Young, winner in the 10, 3rd in the 5, and Grant Fisher, silver in both. Now, new faces on the US Tokyo team. So, Weldon, obviously Cooper Lutkenhaus is the biggest surprise of them all, but there'll be more new faces on the team.
Yeah, I mean, Cooper's obviously the biggest shock of all, but like in the 100, Tamars McCollum, he'd run a really good 200. That guy's all over the place. I think he was like at the SEC championships, which is a conference championship. I think he was 8th place. Then he runs then he does well at certain meets, bad in certain meets, runs this amazing 200. So I was kind of watching him more. I was like, beforehand, I'm like, he could make the team in the 200. And then he runs in 983, makes the team in the 100. And guys like Trayvon Brumell and Christian Coleman, I mean, those are household names, veterans in the United States. They ran very fast and didn't make the team. Like, you run any other country, you run that fast. Well, maybe Jamaica. But you run that fast, you make the team. So it was pretty crazy.
Yeah. Now in the 200, there's also an athlete who's never made the team before, Robert Gregory.
Yeah, I thought essentially McCollum might be that guy in the 200, but no, Gregory did it. And, Arian Knighton, that means he's out, didn't make it. Like he was a 17-year-old phenom at the Olympics, and his career sort of kind of meandered away, and then this year he's fighting a possible suspension, so that's unfortunate on a couple fronts. And then the distance is a name everyone in America, like especially on Let's Run, is very excited about, is Ethan Strand. Like he's got an amazing kick. This was his first time to run 330. I wasn't sure he could kick in a 330 type race, and he showed the amazing speed he's had everywhere. So.
Yeah, exactly. I'm placing second there with Kessler 4th and Yared 5th. That's pretty impressive. So Jacob of Sarp, of course, we've already mentioned. Among the women, it was not as dramatic, but there were still several athletes who will represent the US for the first time. In the 100 meters, at 28, Kyla White, second in the 100 with a 10.84. And in the 200, Anavia Battle, also not among the youngest at 26. Now, there were some athletes who maybe one would have expected on the team, Brittany Brown, Mackenzie Long. They were really unfortunate because they had the same exact time as Gabby Thomas. It went down to the thousandths of a second for that third spot. So there was drama there in the women's 200.
The 200 was crazy.
Yeah.
I mean, Gabby Thomas almost didn't make the team. So she's sort of after the Olympics, she did a big media tour here. She was very popular. So she's been dealing with an Achilles issue. So it was good for her. But as you said, Brittany Brown, it's been running very well, didn't make the team. So there's no room for error in America in the sprints.
Yeah, I hope she can sort it out. She's an athlete I also really appreciate. Hopefully the Achilles will be okay by the time Tokyo comes around. Now in the 400, given her excellent indoor and outdoor season, Isabella Whitaker placing second is not a surprise, but it's her first time on the team. And on the 800, Roisin Willis, aged 21st, she won that event. So that's also a new face.
Yeah, she's a former world under-20 champion, and she's an athlete at Stanford University. And her teammate, Juliette Whitaker, is Isabella's sister, and made the Olympic final last year in the 800. And it's sort of interesting because Willis last year was struggling with pressure and I think some depression type stuff. Got that together this year, and then it's sort of flipped. Juliette sort of said she's been struggling. These athletes reach these highs at these young ages, and it's sort of tough for them the next year. So hopefully she can get back to the top as well.
Wow. Now, athletes who did not qualify, we've already mentioned them. I think the biggest surprises are probably Trayvon Bromell in the 100, Josh Hoey obviously in the 8, Yared Nugusa in the 15, Trey Cunningham in the high hurdles, and Joe Kovacs in the shot put. Anyone else, Weldon, that you maybe thought would make the team and didn't?
Well, I mean, for me, the shot put just when you don't see Ryan Krauser didn't compete; he's been injured. So if he gets healthy, he could still possibly do worlds. But to not see him or Kovacs in the top 3 at the U.S. Championships is, I don't know when the last time that happened. Yeah,
well, Ryan, as defending champion, he has a wild card. So if his injuries clear and he's fit to compete, he'll be there. But yeah, for Joe, it is surprising. Okay, so that's it for the US trials review. Let's move now to the best of the rest, because on the same weekend as US trials, there were also many national championships being held in countries worldwide between 1st and the 3rd of August. There were lots of great performance, so we'll practically only mention records and world leads and take the countries in alphabetical order. That's the only fair way to do it. So starting with Brazilian championships, total of 4 area records were set, 2 on the very first day, which was actually on the 31st of July. And the very best one came from javelin thrower Luis Mauricio da Silva, who threw a massive 91 meters to improve his own South American record by over 4 meters. Now that's the second best mark of 2025 and is just 6 centimeters behind Germany's Julian Weber. Da Silva had already made waves at the end of May when setting the first of his 3 area records just in 2025 with 86.34 at the Kip Keino Classic in Nairobi, defeating Olympic and world champions like Germany's Thomas Rohler, Grenada's Anderson Peters, and Kenya's Julius Yego. And the Brazilian has now entered javelin throw royalty, and he'll really be one to watch in Tokyo, as the event has been, on the whole, rather low-key this year. Another area record came at the 100 meters. Eric Cardoso, who had become the first South American to run under 10 seconds back in 2023 with 9.97, won the championships with 9.93 over the man who had dethroned him just months later, Felipe Bardi, to take back the continental record, improving it by 0.03 seconds. And there were also two area records in race walking events. First, Paris Olympic 20-kilometer silver medalist and double world championship bronze medalist Caio Bonfim won the 20,000 meters race in 1:18:37.9 to take over 1 minute off his own South American record and move to number 4 in the all-time list. And 3 days later, Viviane Lira improved the continental best over the women's 35 kilometers race, a distance where she was 4th at the last World Championships, bringing it to 2:46:36. Now at the Chinese Championships, top marks came from two of the country's outstanding young female throwers and reigning world under-20 champions, who both improved their own world under-20 records. First, hammer thrower Zhang Jiale, still aged 18, made a huge improvement of 2 meters and 10 centimeters to her own world under-20 record, bringing it to a massive 77 meters 24. The mark is so good, it's also number 5 in the senior 2025 list and number 14 on the senior all-time list. Then in the javelin, 17-year-old Yan Zhiyi improved her own world under-20 record by just over 1 meter, bringing it to 65 meters 89, a performance which is the 3rd best senior mark of the year. Also at the Chinese Championships, there was an area record in the triple jump by Wu Ruiting with 17 meters 68, a performance which is also the outdoor world lead. At the French Nationals, racewalker Gabriel Bordier confirmed his recent progress, setting a world best performance over the 10,000 meters race walk with 37:23:99, his second world best this year, after the one he set over the 5,000 race walk in early June. And there was also an excellent performance in the 110 hurdles, where Juste Kwao Matei became just the second athlete this year to dip below 13 seconds with a time of 12.99. At the Greek Championships, pole vaulter Emanuela Karalis cleared 6 meters 08 to climb to number 4 in the all-time list, only behind 3 legends, Mondo Duplantis, Renaud Lavillenie, and Sergei Bubka. At the Italian Championships, Leo Fabri threw a huge 22 meters 82 world lead in the shot put, which is the best result of the fortnight in terms of result score, tied with Rai Benjamin's performance at the US trials over the 400 hurdles. At the Lithuanian Championships, discus throw world record holder Mykolas Alekna threw a massive 72 meters 15, his best ever throw outside Ramona. Now, Weldon, is there any result which particularly impressed you from the national championships roundup?
Well, the 12.99 in the hurdles was very good because when Cunningham didn't make the team, I think I said he was world number 2, and they're like, no, in France, 12.99 today or that weekend. But De Silva's progression in the javelin is amazing. The javelin is like the most international of events somehow. It's crazy. We now have a Brazilian guy. I was looking at it. I'm no expert in the javelin, but he'd thrown 82 meters 2 years ago, 85 last year, and now 91.
Yeah.
And you've had guys, from India, Pakistan, Grenada. Like it's obviously Europe, I feel like is the heartland of the javelin, but it's so great to see. That's one of the best things about track and field is the diversity of countries and people that can excel at it. So I liked hearing about that.
Yeah, absolutely. I love that. And you're quite right. French hurdler, Juste Kouamate, he's also come back from Achilles tendon surgery. So that makes his performance even more impressive.
Yeah, I wasn't really familiar with him at all. So maybe that's my lack of knowledge, but it's good to hear. Good to see. Good to hear.
So the weekend after national championships was highlighted by the European Under-20 Championships held in Tampere between 7 and 10 August. Now that was a memorable edition of the event, best ever in terms of World Athletics competition performance ranking, which of course is based on the scoring tables and on the result scores. The very best feat came in the Under-20 decathlon, from Poland's Hubert Troszanka, who is also a World Under-20 silver medalist last year in Lima, who won with 8,514 points to become the first athlete in the age category to break 8,500 points barrier after improving 4 PBs in the 100 meters, 400 meters, pole vault, and javelin in the process. And his mark of 46.21 in the 400 would have earned him silver in the individual race. And behind the pole, the Netherlands' Luc Pelman always so signed a great performance with 8,293 points, moving to number 4 on the Under-20 all-time list. A total of 6 championship records and 4 World Under-20 leads were set in Tampere, both equally divided between men and women. Let's take a look. So championships records among the men in the 400 hurdles, Michal Rada of Czech Republic improved to 48.78. In the decathlon, we've already mentioned Hubert Troszanka and also silver medalist Luc Pelmans. In the 10,000 meters race walk, Joan Querol of Spain, 39 minutes, 10.04. And behind him, 39, 20.87 for Italy's Giuseppe Di Sabato. Among the women, in the 3,000 meters, 8:46.39 for Great Britain's Ines Fitzgerald. Now she has a best of 8:32.90, which is number 11 on the Under-20 all-time list and number 6 outdoors. Over 400 hurdles, also a championship record for Romania's Alexandra Ștefania Uța, 55.55. In the triple jump, 14 meters 24 for Italy's Erika Saraceni. So all pretty good performances, exceptional, of course, the decathlon and the World Under-20 leads. Among the men, Michal Rada was an Under-20 lead, so what obviously was the decathlon World Under-20 record. And among the women, heptathlete Jana Koszczak, 6,293 points, equals her number 8 on the Under-20 all-time list from 2 years ago. And in the 10,000 meters race walk, Spain's Sofia Santacreu with 43 minutes, 47.89. Now, she has dominated in Europe over the last 3 years. Under-18 gold in 2022, under-20 gold in 23 and this year, so very impressive. Now, in addition to championships, records, and World Under-20 leads, there were other special performances in Tampere which deserve to be highlighted, starting with the multi-medalists. So among the men, Norway's Håkon Moeberg is looking to follow in the footsteps of Jakob Ingebrigtsen. He won 2 golds in the 1500 and in the 3000 meters. In the throws, Netherlands' Jarno van Dalen, 2 golds in the shot put and discus. And what's interesting here is that he achieves the same double as his sister Alida did 2 years ago. There were other double medal winners. Karla Ottfalk of Sweden, silver in the 5,000, bronze in the 3,000. And then 2 throwers, Atu Kangasniemi of Finland, silver in the shot put, bronze in the hammer, and Poland's Jakub Rodziak, silver in the discus and bronze in the shot put. Among the women, Ines Fitzgerald had a double in the 3,000 and in the 5,000, and she won with an amazing gap of 22 seconds of 0.48, taking 4 seconds off the 35-year-old championship record by Gabriela Schapo. So really impressive performance over 3,000. And Sweden's Carmen Czernul took silver in both the 1500 and the 3000. But there were also barrier breakers in Tampere. We've already mentioned Hubert Troszanka becoming the first under-20 to break the 8,500 meter barrier. And then Italy's sprinter Kelly Douala, who won the 100 meters aged 15 with a time of 11:22 in cold conditions and with a slight 0.1 meters per second headwind. She's the youngest ever athlete to win the 100 meters at the European Under-20 Championships. Now, Weldon, of course, in Italy, we're particularly thrilled with Kelly Douala, but I saw Let'sRun.com had also posted a story about her.
Yeah, well, you guys are going to know way more about her than me, but the story was interesting because it said her middle name is Ann, so it's Kelly Ann, which is great, and because her mom's a huge fan of Shelly Ann Fraser-Price. I mean, you can't really get much better than that. Kelly Ann and Shelly Ann. I mean, it's almost the exact same. So maybe it's meant to be. You know, if Usain Bolt's name wasn't Usain Bolt, would he be as fast? So if we had a Shelly Ann, maybe we were going to have a Kelly Ann going forward.
Yeah, that's a cool story. Now, there was some talk about bringing Douala to the World Championships for the relay because she does have the second best time in Italy among the sprinters. But in the end, she, her family, and her coach decided that she deserved a break. She'd already won the European Olympic Youth Festival for the under-18s just like 10 days before Tampere. So aged 15, she probably deserves a break. So now to complete our review of the European Under-20 Championships, let's take a look at the medal table. And Italy in the lead with 6 gold medals, 3 silver, 5 bronze for a total of 14. Great Britain and Spain have 5 golds, 7 silvers versus 3 for Britain, and 1 bronze versus 6 for Spain. So Spain has 14 total medals over 13 for Britain. Germany, 3 golds, 6 silver, and 1 bronze. Then France, Netherlands, Norway, Hungary, and Czech Republic, all with 3 golds. Croatia, 2 golds. Overall, 18 countries won at least 1 gold medal, and 28 countries won medals. And Germany, interestingly, 4th in the medal table, but they topped the placing table with 147.5 points, ahead of Great Britain, 141.5, and Spain with 139. So that concludes our overview of the fortnight's competitions. Though the István Gyulai Memorial took place last night in Budapest, we'll review the meet in the next program, but we cannot ignore the top result, which is the 13th world record by pole vault supremo Mondo Duplantis with 6 meters 29. And that brings the number of competitions he won with 6 meters 10 or more to 35, and his win streak to 36 consecutive competitions. Last time Mondo tasted defeat was on 21st July 2003 in Monaco, where he uncharacteristically finished 4th. Now, Weldon, at 25, Mondo has dominated his event for over 5 years now, and he looks set to continue for a long while.
It's crazy. He's getting better. Like, I mean, he was this teen phenom, but all the great, there's not much room for error in the pole vault. You can have a bad day, like as he did in Monaco, I guess, in 2023. But I missed the meet yesterday. It was very early here, and Jonathan Galt, who one of my writers, it's like, Mondo just broke the world record. He texted me. I was like, what? Of course he did. Like, so that's what, 2 this year? I mean, it's never ending for him. Really amazing.
Yeah, totally amazing. So it's time now to go back to the global overview of our sport and check all the best results since the last show, starting with the senior men's events. And we'll continue adding in brackets marks which are regular, which are listed on the respected website Tilastopaya, but do not appear on World Athletics lists. So among the men, on the 100 meters, of course, the top marks of the fortnight came from the US Championship, 9.79 for Kenny Bednarek, 9.82 for Courtney Lindsay, and 9.83 for Timarx McCallum, 9.84 for Trayvon Bromell. He remains out of the team, as does Christian Coleman, 9.86. But there's also a really interesting 9.92 by under 20 athlete Maurice Gleaton, also 9.92 for Ronnie Baker. And as we saw earlier, 9.93 South American record for Brazil's Eric Cardoso. In the 200 meters, 9.63 world lead for Noah Lyles, 19.67 for Kenny Bednarek, 19.80 for Robert Gregory, and 19.82 for Courtney Lindsay. Also at the British Championships, 19.90 for Zarnell Hughes. 400, US Trials winner Jacori Patterson with 44.16. That's not as good as his 43.98, but from May, but what mattered here was the win. 800 meters, big talk of the town, the race at the US Trials, won by Donovan Brazier with 142.16, ahead of Cooper Lutkenhaus, 16-year-old, 142.27, 142.49 for Bryce Hoppel, and 143.06 for Josh Hoey, and 143.14 for Brandon Miller, the latter both out of the team. 1,500 meters, again, surprises at the US Trials, 330.17 for Jonah Koech. Second placed Ethan Strand, 330.25. And in third, Cole Hawker with 330.37. Out is Hobbs Kessler, 331.12. In the 3,000 meters, a world lead by Sweden's Andreas Almgren in Sollentuna on 10 August. In the 100-meter hurdles, we've spoken about Frenchman Juste Quao Mattei, clocking 12.99 at the French championships. US championships were won by Jacob Tharp in 13:01, ahead of Cordell Tinch 13:03 and Dylan Beard 13:04. Trey Cunningham, who had twice clocked 13 flat and other great times, again ran in 13:10, but that was not enough to make the team. And his 13:10 was in the heats. Also in the heats at the French championships, 13:10 for Juste Quao Mattei. Cunningham repeated his 13:10 in the final. Quao Mattei also had 13:11 in the semis. There were also very good marks in the semis in Eugene. Cordell Tinch 13.11, Dylan Beard 13.11, Jamal Britt 13.12, and Dylan Beard also 13.13 in the heats. On the 100 hurdles, also a very good windy time by Spain's Enrique Llopis, 12.98 with a 2.3 meters per second tailwind. That's worth a very good 1,245 points. Over 400 hurdles, we mentioned the 46.89 by Rai Benjamin. That's worth 1,290 points. And in the heats, he had run 47.45, which is worth 1,260. In the final, in the heats also, for 7.76 for Caleb Dean and Chris Robinson, tied with the same time. Another mark from the Russian championships in Kazan, 47.94 for Fyodor Ivanov. Pole vault, not yet on the screen because these lists were closed at 12 August. So Mondo's latest world record isn't there, but Emanuel Karaliso with 6 meters 08 at the Greek championships in Volos moves to number 4 in the all-time lists. And Austin Miller, when winning the US championships with 5 meters 92, is also a great performance. Triple jump, we mentioned the world lead by China's Wu Ruiting, 17.68. Shot put, 22 meters 82 for Leo Fabri at the Italian championships, ties Rai Benjamin with 1,290 points. Josh Awotunde at the US championships, 22.47. Peyton Otterdal second with 22.35. Adrian Tripp Piperi 22.29. And Joe Kovacs out with 22 meters 07. Discus throw, 72 meters 15 for Lithuania's Nicolas Alekna. That's also a great performance, worth 1,284 points. In the hammer throw, 81 meters 94 for Hungary's Bence Halas on 2 August in Budapest. He improved that yesterday in at the István Gyulai Memorial, but as we said, the lists were closed on 11 August. Javelin throw, superb area record of 91 meters by Brazil's Ruiz Mauricio da Silva. 10,000 meters race walk, world best by Gabriel Bordier, and over 20 kilometers race walk, an area record by Caio Bonfim. Decathlon, excellent performance of 8,869 points at US trials by Kylie Garland. Best performance of the men in the fortnight, as we said, Rai Benjamin and Leo Fabri. their performances are both worth 1,290. Then it's Emanuela Caralis with his 60 meters pole vault, 1,289. Mikolas Alekna at his national trials, that performance is worth 1,284. Kenny Bednarek's 9.79 at US trials, 1,280 points. Noah Lyles over the 200, that's worth just 1 point less, 1,279. And Kenny Bednarek behind him, 1,272. And the top men's performance of the year remains the discus throw world record by Mikolas Alekna, which is worth 1,347 points. On the women's side, in the 100 meters, 10.65 for Melissa Jefferson Wooden moves to number 5 equal of all time. 10.84 for Kyla White, second in the final. 10.84 also for Melissa Jefferson in the semifinals, and Melissa Jefferson had already clocked 10.86 into a headwind of 1.5 meters per second. So that was pretty impressive. 200, it's again about Melissa Jefferson, 21.84. That's the second best mark of the season. And in the heats, she had already run 22.06. 400 meters, best performance of the fortnight is Sydney McLaughlin-Levroni's 48.90 in winning the US trials. Over the 100 hurdles, 12.22 for Masai Russell in the final, 12.25 for Russell in the heats, 12.31 for Grace Stark in the final, 12.34 for Grace Stark in the heat, 12.36 for Alicia Johnson in the final, and 12.37 for Kendra Harrison in the final, and 12.39 for Kendra in the heats. Tonya Marshall with 12.40 in the final. 400 hurdles, Dalila Muhammad, as we saw, winning the final in 52.65, ahead of Anna Cockrell with 52.89, and Jasmine Jones with 53.23. In the pole vault, there's an interesting mark from the Russian Championships, which is just below our cutoff. That's 4 meters 86 in the pole vault by Polina Knoros, and that's the world outdoor lead of the year. In the shot put, great 20 meters 84 by Chase Jackson to win the US trials. In the discus throw, a brilliant 71 meters 46 for Valerie Allman. In the hammer throw, 78 meters 53 for Deanna Price to win US trials. And heptathlon, as we said, 6,899 points for Anna Hall. So that's it for the women. And best women's performances of the fortnight. The very best is Valerie Allman in the discus. Her performance is worth 1,283 points. Then it's Melissa Jefferson's 10.65 over the 100 meters. That's worth 1,277, followed by Chase Jackson. Her 20 meters 84 is worth 1,260. Then 2 marks by Masai Russell. Her 12.22 in the final is worth 1,258, and her mark in the heats is worth 1,253. Melissa Jefferson again, 21.84 in the 200 is worth 1,256. Sydney McLaughlin-Levroni's mark in the 400 is worth 1,250. And Dalila Muhammad's performance of 52.65 is worth 1,247. Top women's performance of the year remains Valerie Allman's area record in Ramona, which is worth 1,321 points. So under 20 and under 18 athletes, there were also some great performances here. Let's start with the under 20, where most of the marks, but not all of them, come from the European under 20 championships. And the first in the 100 meters, 9.92, Maurice Gleaton. Now that moves him to number 3 on the under 20 all-time lists. And it's a NACAC under 20 record, so really impressive. And here is interesting because there's a mark by Israel Okon Sunday of Nigeria, who won the 100 meters at the African under 20 championships in Abeokuta with 10.03. Now that's the only mark from Abeokuta which is now on the World Athletics lists, and it moves the athlete to number 15 equal on the under 20 all-time list. Then we've discussed at length Cooper Lutkenhaus's fabulous 1:42.27 at US trials. It's not only a world under 18 best, but also number 2 in the under 20 all-time lists. On the 1,000 meters, there's a good mark from 9 August by Morocco's Jawad Khshina, 2 minutes 17.74, moves him to number 16 in the under 20 all-time list. On the 110 hurdles, Chinese championships in Kuzhou on 4 August, so the senior height, another super impressive performance by China's Chen Yuanzhang with a 13.18. He moves to equal number 2 on the under 20 all-time lists, and he had already run in 13.33 in the semi-finals. 13.42 for Cuba's Kendry Menendez in Belgrade is better than number 11 on the under 20 all-time list, but he has already had number 5 equal. 13.43 for the USA's Bradley Franklin at US trials. That is also better than number 11 on the all-time list, but he also has 15 equal. And Kendry Menendez in the heats in Belgrade, he had also run in 13.44. Over 400 meters, we mentioned the championship record in Tampere by Czechia's Michal Rada with 48.78. He moves to number 17 equal on the under 20 all-time list. Then with the under 20 implement and the hammer throw 6 kilos, we have another great performance by the man who dominated the hammer this year, 82.91 for Hungary's Armin Sabados in Tampere. That's better than number 6 on the under 20 all-time list, but he already has number 5. Over 10,000 meters race walk. Joan Kerold's performance in Tampere moves him to number 6 on the under 20 all-time list, while Giuseppe Di Sabato moves to number 8 on the under 20 all-time list. He was silver medalist in Tampere. Then there's also a really good performance from the Russian championships by Kirill Chudaikin, 39 minutes, 30.60. He moves to number 15 on the under 20 all-time list. Decathlon, we spoke at length about Hubert Troshanka in Tampere, totaling 8,514 points in the decathlon. and Luca Pellman, silver medalist with 8,293. Then there's a really good sprint relay performance. It's from 26 July in Savannah, 39.24 for athletics performance team with Braden Williams, Jaden Finley, Jashawn Lloyd, and Justin Stewart. And they moved to number 13 on the under 20 all-time list. Among the women, Erika Saraceni's championship record in Tampere of 16:24 is the second best under 20 mark of the year, and she moves to number 18 on the all-time list. Then we have the two world under 20 records improved by Chinese athletes. Zhang Jiale in the hammer with 77 meters 24. She has totally dominated the event this year. But there was also a very good 69 meters 14 by Sweden's Patricia Kamga in Tampere, which moves her to number 13 on the under 20 all-time list. Then the other Chinese throwing wonder, Yan Zhiyi, at the national championships, improved the world under 20 record to 65.89. In the heptathlon in Tampere, Jana Košak of Croatia equaled her number 8 on the under 20 all-time list with 6,293 points. And behind her, Hungary's Sarota Krist, 6,251 points, moves to number 15 on the under 20 all-time list. Then there were some really good performances in the sprint relay. Italy won the event at the under 20 championships, European under 20s in Tampere with 43.72. Alice Pagliarini, Elisa Valencin, Margherita Castellani, and Kelly Anduala moved to number 8 on the under 20 all-time list. Behind them, 43.98 for Great Britain, with Nell Desir, Rusi Talon, Kaya Slater, and Mabel Akamde. That would be number 14 on the under 20 all-time list, but Great Britain already have number 20. Already have number 10. So before we move to the under 18 category, let's take a look now at a video from Chinese journalist Tony Do Yujia, who tells us about some of the top results from under 20 and under 18 athletes at the national championships in Kuzhou last week. And in the video, we can also see hurler Chen Wanzhang, and at the national under 18 championships currently underway in Shenyang.
Hello, dear Anna and dear friends. This is Tony in China. Now here, I am in Shenyang, the northeast city of China. We are doing the first national youth athletics games. It is a quite new games, but it is very important games, just similar as the national games of China. And I am so lucky to be the announcer and also the presentation director of these games. So it is very hot here. And also the Chinese athletics result recently is also very hot. Let me introduce some of them. It was the national championships 400 meters semifinals several days ago. 19 years boy Liu Kai ran 45.06 seconds, a new national record, also a new under 20 record. And here also the national championships 100 meters final, Deng Xinrui 10.06, a huge PB. And also the national championships men's 110 meters hurdles. Only 19 years old boy Chen Yuanjiang ran 13.18 seconds, and he became the world all-time number 2 of under 20 ages. And here, let's take a look of the first national youth games. This is the women's 100 meters final. 16 years old Chen Yujie ran 11.29 seconds, equal her own under 18 record of Asia. And this girl, Zhu Fangjiao, celebrate her birthday here in the games, and we have the birthday song for her and also for him. Finally, let's take a look at the atmosphere of the games. And thank you so much, Anna, and thanks for watching.
Thank you, Yuja. So we continue with the under 18s, where the list is rather short as there are currently not many competitions for this age category. In the 100 meters, there's a windy 10.06 for Japan's Kai Sugano with a 2.4 meters per second tailwind. 800 meters, we've spoken at length about Cooper Lutkenhaus and his world under 18 best, but he had also clocked 1:45.57 in the semifinals, so that's another really great performance. In the long jump, very good performance from India's Shah Nawaz in Bhubaneswar, 8 meters 04. That moves him to number 11 equal on the under 18 all-time list. In the 5,000 meters race walk at a competition in Brest in Belarus, 19 minutes 53.97 for Russia's Bekruz Gulmuradov, and he moves to number 15 in the under 18 all-time list. Among the women, in the 100 meters, Kellyanne Douala won in Tampere with 11.22. And in the javelin, this is interesting because as Tony Doe mentioned, the Chinese under 18 championships are currently underway in Shenyang. So world under 20 record holder who normally throws with the heavier implement, in Shenyang, she threw with the 500 meter javelin for the under 18 age category, and her 63 meters 52 would be equal number 4 on the under 18 all-time list. So that's it for the top marks review. Weldon, are there any under 18 or under 20 athletes who impressed you in the course of this year?
Yeah, a couple. I mean, obviously, I have to say Cooper Lutkenhaus, but we already discussed him at length. I think it's just, I'm glad to hear he's an international story. Kellyanne Douala is my new, I'm rooting for you. But Ines Fitzgerald, if she was an American, she would make so much attention. She's run 14:39 and she's 19 years of age. Like, that's astounding. And that's, you know, in America, we love to hype the phenoms. And if she was in the collegiate system here, which at that age she would be, like, she would be a household name. And sometimes some of the Brits do that, but she's gone a different route. But that type of speed and talent at that age, you don't see that often. So it's very impressive. And the way she also just dominated everybody.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. No, definitely impressive. Now, before we look at upcoming events, I'd like to check Weldon's opinion on something. Brussels Diamond League meeting have been asked by World Athletics to add 2 events to their program, the 4x100 meters mixed relay and the steeplechase mile. Now, for the latter, World Athletics claims that the shorter format with a faster pace promises to deliver increased excitement and entertainment value. So, Weldon, what do you think of the steeplechase mile?
Well, I've never seen one. I'm up for it. I'm up for the sport experimenting and trying new things, but I assume it's still going to be the same steeplechasers doing it. Yeah, I'm curious if they're going at faster speeds, almost is it more dangerous? But like, we saw that at the Olympics last year, right? With Germer, like, that fall was so scary. And I think at some of these meets, like Grand Slam track, they didn't have a steeplechase. I don't know why the steeplechase is dropped from some of these things, because with the hurdling and the falls, I think there already is a lot of drama, and 4 minutes versus 8 isn't that different. But yeah, I would love to see, like, a sub-4 steeple or something like that. That would be cool. I have no idea how fast these guys are going to run, but I want to see it.
All right. Well, Winfried Yavi is going to run in Brussels, and she's targeting the fast time, so we'll see what happens there. Mm-hmm. I must admit, I'm just thinking back to some years ago when I was at World Athletics and at some meeting, Sebastian Coe was kind of making fun of swimming, saying, how many different ways can they compete over the 100? Well, now he's doing it over the mile because, of course, they've introduced the road mile, now the steeplechase mile. So I'm a bit, let's say, not terribly enthusiastic. Of course, we'll see what it looks like in practice, but especially for somebody coming from country where the mile doesn't really mean much to us, I'm a bit skeptical.
Yeah, the steeple's great as it is. This isn't radically different or radically shorter. We need to save 4 minutes in a program. I don't think that's the problem with the sport. I mean, in an 8-minute steeple, you can actually, Let's Run fans don't want to hear this, but you can go to commercial in the middle of it. So I'm not sure I see the need for this, but
yeah,
let's see one of them, see if it's entertaining. Maybe at the faster speed or something, it changes it, but I'm not convinced.
Yeah, we'll see what happens. Thank you, Weldon. So let's look now at upcoming events as we reach the end of our show. So last night was the Istvan July Memorial. We'll discuss it in the next show. 15 to 17 August, NACAC Athletics Championships in Nassau. 16 August, Kamila Skolimovska Memorial in Chorzów, Diamond League meet. 16 August, Chitius meet in Bern, World Continental Tour Silver. On the 17 August, Golden Sand in Mezhiroje in Poland, also a Continental Tour Silver. 18 to 22 August, Athletics at the Junior Pan American Games in Asunción. 20 August, Atletissima Lausanne Diamond League meeting, and also silver hammer throw competition in Szombathely in Hungary. 22 August, Memorial Van Damme Brussels Diamond League meeting. 27 and 28, the Weltklasse in Zurich, Diamond League final. 31st of August, Sydney Marathon making its debut as a World Marathon Majors, and also marathons in Mexico City and in Harbin, China. 7 September, World Athletics Continental Tour Gold Meet in Beijing, which a lot of athletes will use to warm up for Tokyo. And of course, from the 13th to the 21st of September, World Athletics Championships in Tokyo. So we're now at the end of our program, and it was brilliant having Weldon with us on the show.
It was fun, Anna. Thank you.
Thank you, Weldon. Thank you all for watching. See you in 2 weeks on Love Athletics to look together at the comments, highlights, and analysis of what's been happening in our sport over the past fortnight. And that will be our last show before the World Championships in Tokyo. In the meantime, we'll be posting athletes' interviews from Diamond League meets in Silesia, Lausanne, and probably also Zurich before the series concludes. So thank you. Take care, everyone. See you soon. Thank you, Weldon.
Thank you.